Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. We've got some big stories that you need to know about tonight. Governor Gavin Newsom announced that the mask mandates are ending for the state. Schools will still be another 2 weeks, and a few choice settings will still require them. But as they say, the mask is off. Down at the southern border, drug smugglers have come up with a new way to get illicit narcotics into the country. But it wasn't clever enough for Border Patrol. Traffickers disguised the methamphetamine as onions and packed them side by side with the bulbs. And Los Angeles wrapped up its point-in-time homeless count. The survey spanned 3 nights, and the results will be out by June at the latest. Some early estimates are as many as 80,000 homeless people for the county. For anyone tired of mask mandates, here is some good news. The governor announced today that California is lifting its mask mandates for unvaccinated people in most indoor settings. The state is also lifting its school mask mandate on March 12th, 2 weeks from now.
Masks will be strongly recommended for all individuals indoors when the mandate ends. In a statement, Newsom said the state's policies are adjusted based on the latest data and science. He said masks are effective in minimizing the spread, and we cannot predict the future of the virus, but we are better prepared for it and will continue to take measures rooted in science to keep California moving forward. Masks will continue to be required for everyone at certain settings. Those include healthcare facilities, transit centers, airports, aboard public transit, in correctional facilities, at homeless shelters, and long-term care facilities. Oregon and Washington governors also announced similar guidelines on Monday. In response, a boy named Deacon questions why the mandate couldn't be lifted immediately.
Deacon, how do you feel about the California mask mandate being lifted on March 12th?
I feel excited, but why can't it be right now? Because every state doesn't, but California and Hawaii have to wear the mask.
Some officials say that the change could take effect immediately. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond wrote on Twitter, "There's no reason to make parents and students wait 2 more weeks. The decision should have always been left to parents, and waiting 2 more weeks is unscientific." Senator Melissa Melendez wrote, "The last to follow the science, Newsom is finally getting rid of the mask mandate for adults and kids." A parent-led organization called CA Parent Power also released a statement saying, "Public school children have paid a high price for pandemic restrictions dictated by politics, not science." They pointed out that the statewide indoor mask mandate was lifted on February 15th, and the CDC stated there is no distinction between school and other indoor spaces. They said it's unreasonable that students have to wait another month to remove masks.
Along with the mask mandates coming to an end, the governor is rolling back many of his COVID executive orders. Of the original hundreds of executive orders he signed during the pandemic, there would just be over 30 active for the next few months. Here's what you need to know about the coming changes.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Friday that 95% of his executive orders related to the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19, will be lifted by the end of June. However, the COVID state of emergency will remain in place. Newsom said in a statement that the state will continue to focus on scaling back provisions and to adapt our response for what lies ahead. Only 33 orders will continue on, about 5% of the original number. The remaining orders mostly focus on COVID testing, jab programs, hospitals, and workplace mandates. 18 of the executive orders will end on March 31st, while the remaining 15 will end on June 30th. In line with the remaining orders, Newsom announced over a week ago the state's smarter plan for coexisting with the coronavirus as an endemic. Newsom made 561 executive orders since the beginning of the pandemic. At the same time, Newsom lifted 12 open states of emergency, with some dating back to 2015. The now canceled emergencies include fires, heat waves, and other incidents.
Richard Blum, the longtime husband of Senator Dianne Feinstein, passed away Sunday evening. He was 86 years old and had been battling cancer, the senator announced today. Senator Feinstein said in a statement, "My heart is broken today. My husband was my partner and best friend for more than 40 years. He was by my side for the good times and for the challenges. I'm going to miss him terribly." Blum is a graduate of UC Berkeley and founded the private equity firm Blum Capital in 1975. He married the then San Francisco Mayor Feinstein 5 years later. The marriage was a third for Feinstein and a second for Blum. For nearly 2 decades, Blum served as a member of the University of California Board of Regents and was chairman emeritus of the board. Smuggling narcotics across the nation's southern border is nothing new, but federal authorities revealed at the Southern California border that what's new is how drugs are being disguised. The new tricks of all things is onions. Here's what the U.S. Customs and Border Protection uncovered.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, officers seized approximately $2.9 million worth of methamphetamine hidden in small packages within a shipment of onions last Sunday. CBP announced that federal officers arrested an unnamed 46-year-old Mexican citizen at the Otay Mesa Port of Entry commercial vehicle facility. Officers say the man was driving a tractor trailer containing a large shipment of what appeared to be onions. During the examination, one of the agency's detector dogs alerted officers, who discovered 1,197 packages of meth, roughly 1,336 pounds, according to CBP. The packages of meth were shaped into small globes with a white covering designed to blend in with the onions they were hidden with. Sidney Aki, CBP Director of Field Operations in San Diego, said, "This was not only a clever attempt to try and smuggle in narcotics, one I haven't seen before, but also time-consuming to wrap narcotics into these small packages designed to look like onions." The man has been turned over to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for further arrangement.
Southern California's major cities are grappling with homelessness, and it's become a major point of contention for residents. While Los Angeles County wrapped up its yearly homeless count, a city in Orange County is also looking for ways to get people back into society.
The point-in-time homeless count wrapped up last week in Los Angeles County. The results will come out in either May or June. Los Angeles Housing Service Authority spokesperson Christopher Yee said they conducted a visual count. Staff and volunteers went out to most cities in Los Angeles County to count both the number of homeless people they saw as well as inhabited tents and vehicles. The last count from 2019 to 2020 found about 66,000 homeless individuals across the county. That count was up 13% from the one prior. 2021 did not conduct a count due to pandemic lockdowns. Homeless encampments have been a major point of contention among residents and activists alike. During the pandemic, local officials rolled back city codes to permit tents to allow homeless people to shelter in place as COVID-19 spread. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva said he expects the count to find 80,000 homeless individuals. Economic Roundtable, an LA-based nonprofit research center, estimated 90,000 homeless by 2023. In neighboring Orange County, Governor Gavin Newsom allocated $3.6 million to address homelessness in the city of Costa Mesa. About 130 individuals are living in Talbert Park. The funds are connecting the homeless population with shelters and behavior health services. The governor's office estimated the funds can only help about 60 individuals, about $60,000 per person. Zach Southall, founder of Charity on Wheels, told the Epoch Times that he feels a personalized approach is needed instead of just providing housing. He said shelter is just one issue in bringing people back into society. He recommended that Orange County should assess homeless people by their ability to work and specific needs.
Coming up, Bay Area residents likely saw an Amber Alert on Sunday. The child was found, and one suspect is in custody. We'll bring you what happened. And California is planning to demolish 4 dams. Despite ongoing droughts, the goal is to restore part of California to a more natural state. Heat waves are such a thing in California that lawmakers are now proposing to rank them. Just like how hurricanes have rating systems, it would make California the first U.S. state to do so, along with early heat warnings. NTD's David Lam reports.
A lot of us know just how hot it gets when getting into a car that's been sitting out here for a few hours. And for some California residents, such intense heat can be dangerous. But some lawmakers are trying to make a change for a new system that will let Californians know just how dangerous the weather is. While heat doesn't have all the potential catastrophic damage like tornadoes or hurricanes, it's still the most dangerous. Since 1991, heat has been the top weather-related killer in the United States, according to averages from the National Weather Service. Under Assembly Bill 2238, California would have early warnings for extreme heat waves and a ranking system by January 2024. The NWS would provide weather data to the Environmental Protection Agency, which would be in charge of classifying and potentially naming heat waves. The bill was officially introduced by Assembly members Luz Rivas and Eduardo Garcia this month. California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara said, just as we have air quality alerts, categories for tropical hurricanes, and red flag warnings for wildfires, California needs a way to warn our residents about extreme heat waves, which will only grow deadlier in the years ahead. The system may be similar to the hurricane ranking system, which categorizes hurricanes on a scale of 1 through 5, with 5 being the most intense in terms of wind speed. The NWS already has an experimental forecast called heat risk, with a ranking from 0 to 4. The new bill states that in 2020, temperatures in Los Angeles County reached as high as 121 degrees, causing an increase of 10 times the normal number of emergency room visits. Now, the bill proposal is waiting to be heard in committee in March. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
For our audience members in the Bay Area, you may have gotten an Amber Alert on Sunday. Fortunately, police in Sunnyvale found the missing child just several miles away from the abduction site by evening time. One suspect is being arrested in connection to the abduction.
The alert was for 2-year-old Jacob Jardine. Sunnyvale police posted on Twitter around 7 p.m. on Sunday that he was located and taken to the hospital as a precautionary measure. He was taken early Sunday morning, just before 4 a.m., while his mother was unloading groceries. An alleged thief jumped into the car and drove off with Jacob inside. The vehicle, a brown 2008 Buick Enclave, was found about 4 miles away in a parking lot in Sunnyvale. It's unclear if the thief knew that Jacob was inside the vehicle. The California Highway Patrol issued an Amber Alert for Santa Clara, San Mateo, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, and Alameda counties. Police arrested 29-year-old Luong Tammy Huyen as a suspect in connection to the abduction. They said surveillance footage implicated her.
Employees at a mall in San Jose are protesting a new parking fee policy that management has put in place. But the mall says the fee is a deterrent. Let's take a look at who is trying to stop who.
Valley Fair is a popular mall in Silicon Valley. Weekends are the busiest days, but thanks to service employees, customers could spend comfortable time with their family and friends on weekends. But some employees are not just as comfortable as last month with extra expenses to work due to a parking lot fee requirement program. Several weeks ago, management at San Jose's Valley Fair Mall started requiring parking fees, and some employees have had enough of it. Employees must pay $3 per day or $40 per month. Customers can park for free for 2 hours, but must pay after that. One mall employee, Sergio Gomez, is a full-time waiter who works in Valley Fair's Cheesecake Factory. He's also a full-time student.
Well, for me, that's an extra bill added onto what I already have as extra bills, water, gas, electricity. I'm also a full-time student, like I said, paying with tuition for school, and it's really just inconvenient, the total fee itself for us employees. Yeah.
But the mall might not be looking to just make a quick buck. Large amounts of people have been parking at the mall, but don't step foot inside the stores. A Valley Fair representative said in a statement that their lot is filled with vehicles of people going to work elsewhere in the Silicon Valley community or embarking upon travel plans at the nearby San Jose International Airport. Some air travelers' cars were left at the mall for days, and now employees like Gomez are paying the price.
Yeah, so today was going to be the second day of protesting. I feel like we have to get in contact with more representatives of the mall itself, at least look at where we're coming from, being, full-time students, full-time employees at the mall itself.
The petition organizer is looking forward to communicating with Valley Fair managers in an efficient way to solve the problem together.
And the spokesperson with the Westfield Valley Fair Management shared this statement. Quote, "We support the right of employees who work at the center to voice their opinions, but we remain committed to our controlled parking plan." Authorities are planning to remove 4 massive dams in Northern California as concerns grow about their environmental impact, particularly on fish. NTD's Eileen Ang hears from the head of the project about the benefits of bringing the dams down, moving California to a more natural state.
The removal is poised for 4 dams along the Klamath River. The goal is to restore one of the state's native populations, migratory salmon. The announcement came in an environmental impact statement draft from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Regulators wrote that moving ahead with the proposal would maximize benefits to salmon fisheries important to local tribes and restore the landscape to a more natural state. In 2020, Oregon and California agreed to be equal partners in the demolition with a nonprofit entity called the Klamath River Renewal Corporation, which will oversee the project.
The reservoirs behind the dams store water for hydroelectric generation, but the water warms up in the summer and produces conditions that create bad water quality, namely algae blooms and other conditions that lead to disease and other impaired water quality circumstances. So fish passage is a primary objective and water quality improvements is a secondary objective. That really is why the project is being undertaken.
The aging dams were built before current environmental regulations. It cut the 253-mile-long river in half for migrating salmon, whose numbers have plummeted. Under federal and California law, coho salmon are listed as threatened and their population has fallen by anywhere from 52% to 95%. Spring Chinook salmon, once the Klamath Basin's largest run, have dwindled by 98%.
How does the decrease in population of the fish affect us as, people or the tribes around them?
Yeah, particularly the tribes. Of course, a number of the tribes in the Klamath River Basin are historically salmon dependent. They will describe themselves as river people and salmon people. And we can't overstate the significance of salmon to their way of life. And we've seen degradation of that way of life and that quality of life as a result of the decline of the returning salmon runs over the years.
Tribes rely on the salmon for their sustenance and culture. Commercial fishermen and environmentalists have worked for years to bring the dams down in a region already suffering through intense drought and dwindling water supplies. In recent years, as many as 90% of the young salmon sampled tested positive for a disease that spreads when river flows are low. The issued statement cleared the way for public hearings on the document before a final draft is issued as soon as this summer. The demolition and habitat restoration plan would cost about $500 million. Dam removals could begin as early as next year. It would be the largest dam demolition project in U.S. history.
Now, it's important to understand that these dams serve a single purpose, and that is to produce electricity. They exist for the sole purpose of spinning turbines and generating electricity. They do not store water for agricultural purposes or for industrial or municipal uses, and they're not operated as flood control dams.
Although there is some local opposition, like from those whose water is connected to a groundwater well, Bransom said they will be working with those communities to discuss the impacts of the project. He believes the project will have social and economic benefits. Bransom said they are working on the design to ensure that all regulators can see how the project would unfold. They are also informing them about the mitigation measures they are proposing in advance so that the regulators can consider their applications and prepare their permits. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
Now for a sports update from NTD's Thomas Christian.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
LeBron James pushed back on rumors that he was looking to move on from an underperforming Los Angeles Lakers, saying that he intended to stay with the team for as long as he can play. Speaking to reporters following the Lakers' 105-102 loss to the Clippers on Friday, The 37-year-old Ohio native dismissed talk that he could once again return to the Cleveland Cavaliers or pursue opportunities elsewhere. The 4-time NBA champion and 18-time All-Star added that in addition to winning more championships, he also wants to play alongside his 17-year-old son Bronny if he ends up making it to the NBA as well. The Lakers have really struggled this season as the trio of James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook have had a limited number of opportunities to share the floor amid injuries, and when they do see the floor together, their fit on the court is not ideal. Missing massive stretches of the season, Anthony Davis suffered another injury, this time a mid-foot sprain during a February 16th game, and is expected to be out at least 3 more weeks. The Lakers, currently 27-33, are 9th in the Western Conference and were unable to get back on track when they hosted the New Orleans Pelicans on Sunday. Instead, they committed a whopping 23 turnovers and trailed by as many as 32 points as they fell to a squad with one of the worst records in the NBA. After the loss, LeBron stormed off the court. Still, he has yet to recant his comments. With little on-court chemistry 60 games into the season, the Lakers will need to make changes if they want to save their season. Our ears may hear one thing from LeBron James, but the eyes don't lie. Noah Dobson, Casey Cizikas, Andy Green, and Kiefer Bellows each scored goals as visiting New York ended its California drought with a shutout over Anaheim. Ross Johnson had 2 assists after being a healthy scratch in each of the last 6 games, while Ilya Sorokin had 34 saves. The Islanders won after consecutive defeats at San Jose and Los Angeles and earned a victory in California for the first time since defeating the Los Angeles Kings in October of 2018. Anaheim goalie Anthony Stolarz had 18 saves while starting in place of struggling All-Star John Gibson, who gave up at least 4 goals in each of his last 5 starts. Islanders 4, Ducks 0. James Reimer made 39 saves to lead host San Jose to a victory over Seattle. Scott Reedy and Jonah Gadjevich both scored their first NHL goals, and Ryan Jingle also scored for San Jose, which won for just the second time in its last 10 games. Jasper Weatherby added 2 assists. Morgan Geekie scored and Philip Grubauer finished with 21 saves for Seattle, which lost its 7th consecutive game. Sharks 3, Kraken 1.
As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all we have for you tonight. We'd love to have you back on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Feel free to let us know if you have any news tips for our show. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website. I'm Liang Zhang. We'll see you next time.